Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to the A segment of episode 61 of The Loud House, The Mad Scientist. We begin this segment at the Loud House, where we see Lisa is having a video chat with some other scientists. Lisa explains to these scientists that she's very close to creating wormholes for time travel. It's just a matter of figuring out how to harness the required energy. Suddenly, some of the Loud Sisters and Lincoln interrupt Lisa's conversation with the scientists to request Lisa's help for one thing or another. After these interruptions, Lisa apologizes to the scientists, and Lisa also admits that she's looking forward to a time when she can perform scientific research in a quiet location. One of the scientists, who is later on revealed to be Dr. Jelson, invites Lisa to stop by the Institute this afternoon. Dr. Jelson assures Lisa that the Institute is the perfect location to perform scientific research in. Lisa is pleased to hear this, and she accepts the invitation. The next scene shows Dr. Jelson giving Lisa a tour of the Institute, and the tour ends with the research lab. The tour ends at the research lab. Dr. Jelson assures Lisa that Lisa may use the research lab to her heart's content. And then Dr. Jelson leaves so that Lisa can have a quiet afternoon of scientific research. Lisa likes what she sees of the research lab, and Lisa even quite literally sings the praises of not just the research lab, but the Institute overall. Throughout the course of this song, Lisa is singing about how she feels that the Institute is where she belongs. And after the song ends, Lisa begins her scientific research. At a later point in time, Lisa is giving a presentation to Dr. Jelson and some other scientists. According to this presentation, the scientific research that Lisa was able to perform this afternoon has led to Lisa figuring out how to create, how to harness the required energy to create wormholes. According to this presentation, the scientific research that Lisa was able to perform this afternoon has led to Lisa figuring out how to harness the required energy to create wormholes for time travel. Dr. Jelson and the other scientists praise Lisa, and they comment along the lines about how this is a great achievement. Lisa thanks Dr. Jelson and the other scientists not just for the praise, but also for allowing her to use the research lab. Lisa thanks Dr. Jelson and the other scientists not just for the praise, but also for allowing her to use the research lab. And Lisa also admits that she likes how there are no lines for the bathroom in the Institute, and Lisa says that she's going to stop by the bathroom before she leaves the Institute. But Dr. Jelson then suggests to Lisa that she stay at the Institute full time. Dr. Jelson points out that Lisa was able to accomplish so much in a single afternoon. Imagine how much she could accomplish if she were to stay at the Institute full time. Lisa thinks that Dr. Jelson has made a valid point, and she also says that she's honored by this suggestion. So at a later point in time, Lisa has contacted Lynn Sr. and Rita over video chat, and the Loud parents are surprised to hear that Lisa wants to stay at the Institute full time. They question why Lisa wants to stay at the Institute full time. Lisa comments about how performing scientific research at home is filled with distractions. And we do see Lincoln and the other Loud sisters in the background of the screen while Lynn Sr. and Rita are having this video chat with Lisa. But eventually, Lincoln and the other Loud sisters overhear overhear the conversation and they join the video chat, surprised to hear that Lisa wishes to stay at the Institute full time. Lisa says that she anticipated her family to react the way that they are reacting, so she pulls out a pie chart and says that this pie chart represents her psychological makeup. So, according to the pie chart, 97% of Lisa's psychological makeup is represented by scientific pursuit. And 2% of Lisa's psychological makeup is represented by her affinity for West Coast rap. And then 1% of Lisa's psychological makeup is represented by her emotional attachments. Luna responds to this by calling Lisa ice cold, or she says something along those lines anyway. And Lisa responds that the point she's trying to make is that scientific research is her life, and this is a great opportunity for her. Lynn Sr. and Rita still don't like this idea, but they do agree to give it a try all the same, and Lisa is excited about this. So Lincoln and the other Loud sisters bid Lisa farewell, and Lynn Sr. and Rita are also saying their goodbyes to Lisa, and Lynn Sr. starts to cry while he's bidding Lisa farewell. At a later point in time, Lisa is continuing some scientific research, but eventually she becomes hungry, so she heads to the cafeteria. There's a robot in the cafeteria that provides food for the scientists. We'll call this robot a cafeteria robot. So the cafeteria robot gives Lisa what another scientist calls a nutrient-rich cube. This other scientist explains that the nutrient-rich cube is filled with all the vitamins that are essential for maximum brain efficiency. Lisa says that she does see the merit of the nutrient-rich cube, but she also admits that she still would like to have some of the meatloaf that Lynn Sr. makes, or Lisa admits that she does enjoy the meatloaf that Lynn Sr. makes. The scientist also lets Lisa know that they're going to have ice cream for dessert. Lisa is excited about this, but then the cafeteria robot gives Lisa an injection. The scientist clarifies that the ice cream that they received the ice cream in injection form. At a later point in time, Lisa enters a room that other scientists are in, and she inquires these other scientists about if they would be interested in watching the Dreamboat. Lisa then turns on the TV, and she's summarizing the Dreamboat for these other scientists. She also comments about how the Dreamboat is one of her family's favorite shows, if not her family's favorite show. And yes, while Lisa is summarizing the events of the Dreamboat, she eventually sees that the other scientists have left the room. Lisa is disappointed about this and turns the TV off. At a later point in time, Lisa is preparing to go to bed. And while she's preparing to go to bed, she sees ingredients for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And she also sees a note from Lincoln. According to this note, Lincoln explains that he knows Lisa likes peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but since he won't be able to make them while she's at the Institute, he thought the least he could do was to give her the ingredients for peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Lisa does consider this to be a nice gesture on her brother's part, and she decides that she should have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. She figures that it'll be easy, considering the fact that she figured out how to harness energy to create wormholes for time travel. But a quick time skip shows us that Lisa was not able to make the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Lisa questions how Lincoln is able to pull it off. At a later point in time, Lisa is having trouble reaching the zipper on her pajamas, and a quick flashback shows us that Lenny would help. A quick flashback shows us that Lenny would help Lisa out with the zipper for her pajamas. At a later point in time, Lisa is in bed, but she's having a hard time falling asleep, and she doesn't understand why. But she does. Her memory is refreshed when she thinks back thinks back on an old memory or a memory from the past. And we do see a quick flashback which shows Lori reading a bedtime story to Lily. But it turns out that Lisa also, it turns out while Lori was reading the bedtime story for Lily, it turns out that Lisa also is able to fall asleep easily hearing Lori tell a bedtime story. So after the flashback, Lisa decides to look at a book on the nearby bookshelf. Or yes, Lisa goes to the nearby bookshelf and see which books are on this bookshelf. But Lisa doesn't see any of the bedtime stories that Lori would read to Lily. She just sees some science books. And Lisa decides that these science books will have to suffice for now. Later on in the night, Lisa did manage to fall asleep, but she wakes up after having a nightmare. She runs out of her room, hoping to tell her parents about the nightmare. But when Lisa looks around the hallway, she realizes that this isn't her room at home, and this isn't her home either. So Lisa sadly re-enters her room at the Institute, and she sees a fake skeleton hanging nearby. So Lisa decides to try and sleep with this fake skeleton. Later on, though, Lisa begins to cry, and Lisa realizes that she actually does miss her family. So the next day rolls around, and Lisa contacts the rest of the Loud family through video chat. And Lisa tells the rest of her family that she's made a revised version of the pie chart from earlier. So the percentages are different for this revised pie chart. So according to the revised pie chart, 50% of Lisa's psychological makeup is represented by her emotional attachments, and 48% of Lisa's psychological makeup is represented by scientific pursuits. Her affinity for West Coast rap is still represented by 2% of her psychological makeup. And Lisa says that the point she's trying to make is that the rest of her family really do mean a lot to her. She apologizes to her family for only realizing this just now and admits that she misses them. The rest of the family are touched to hear Lisa say this, and they assure Lisa that she's more than welcomed to return home. They would welcome her back with open arms. Lisa says that she would love more than anything to do that, but she doesn't think that she can do so. She says that she doesn't think she can do so because she fears that leaving the Institute now would cause irreparable damage to her reputation and her future career in the scientific field. Lenny comments about how it's a shame that Lisa can't just go back in time and decline the offer to head to the Institute in the first place. And after the video chat ends, Lisa realizes that Lenny actually had a point. That's right, Lisa remembers that she did figure out how to harness the required energy to create wormholes for time travel. So Lisa realizes Lenny's suggestion actually is possible. So later on, we see that we see that there's a time machine, and Lisa is setting up the time machine and making the necessary, setting up the necessary coordinates. Lisa sets the time machine for yesterday, the day before, and after Lisa makes the necessary setup, after Lisa makes the necessary coordinates and setup and what have you, a wormhole does appear, and Lisa jumps into the wormhole, and Lisa is sent back to the day before. More specifically, Lisa is back. Lisa is back in her room during the first scene of this segment, and Lily was the only one who witnessed Lisa's time travel. Lily is confused about what she just saw, but Lisa encourages, Lisa says to Lily that this will be a secret between them, and Lisa also tells Lily that she will explain what happened someday in the future when Lily is older. So after that, the scene plays out where Dr. Jelson invites Lisa to stop by the Institute for the afternoon. And this time, Lisa politely declines the invitation. Lisa comments that that Dr. Jelson's invitation. Yes, Lisa says that she appreciates Dr. Jelson's invitation, but she thinks that she'll be able to complete her scientific research at home after all, and says that she does belong at home. So after the video chat ends with the change in history, Lisa calls out to Lincoln, hoping to have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Lincoln hears Lisa calling out to him, and Lincoln is happy to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in the style that Lisa likes them in. After a quick scene showing more of the chaos of the Loud House, Lisa comments about how she's glad to be back home, or she says something along those lines at least, and that is how we end this segment. So this segment is not just not just a spotlight appearance for Lisa, but Lisa is also the viewpoint character of this segment, and this isn't the first time either. Yes, this isn't the first time where Lisa was the spotlight character, and it's also not the first time when Lisa was the viewpoint character. Lisa was the spotlight character for Snowboard and Making the Grade, and Lisa was also the spotlight character and the viewpoint character for Friend or Foe. And for this segment, I would say this segment does have some things in common with Friend or Foe, but there are some specific details that are different, even if there are some broad stroke similarities. The broad stroke similarities between both Friend or Foe and this segment, The Mad Scientist, is that Lisa initially acts a bit dismissive towards bonds with other individuals, but by the end of both segments, Lisa does come to appreciate her bonds with other individuals. The main differences are in Friend or Foe. The bond was with Darcy Homendaler, who ended up becoming one of Lisa's friends, and throughout the course of Friend or Foe, Lisa befriended Darcy Homendaler, and by the end of the segment, Lisa came to appreciate Darcy as her friend. In this segment, the bond is with her own family, her brother Lincoln, the rest of her sisters, and her parents. Initially, Lisa acted rather dismissive towards her bond with her family. Initially, she considered emotional attachment to be the least represented element of her psychological makeup. But by the end of the segment, Lisa came to realize that she cares more about her family than she initially claimed. And now Lisa considers her emotional attachments to be the most prevalent element of her psychological makeup. So yes, that's the main difference. Friend or Foe was about bonds with friends, or a friend in Lisa's case with Darcy, while in this segment, the bond was with her family members. And yes, both segments do have those broad stroke similarities, but there are specific details that do provide some differences. And I would say they're both well executed overall, and I think they both do a good job at illustrating the point that Lisa really isn't the mad scientist like the segment's title would suggest. Or yes, while the segment title is actually The Mad Scientist, which is usually what Lisa is usually considered to be by some. And even the show itself tries to play up Lisa being a mad scientist sort of character. But this segment, and Friend or Foe for that matter, both show us that Lisa really isn't the mad scientist that she tries to make herself out to be, or that the show sometimes presents her to be. Deep down, Lisa really does care about her bonds with others, even if she doesn't always show it. And I do think that's a good point to illustrate. While Friend or Foe and The Mad Scientist do have some broad stroke similarities, I still think reminding viewers that Lisa does care about her bonds with others is a good thing to do, because because of how the Loud Sisters can have rather notorious reputations, and how some fans don't think of the Loud Sisters some fans don't think of the Loud Sisters in a very good light. Some fans don't view the Loud Sisters in a very good light because of some of their more questionable actions, and sometimes those questionable actions have become very prevalent in the mindset of some fans. So I think some segments that do remind us that the Loud Sisters do have their good qualities and their virtues is a good thing. And in the case of Lisa, while I always, based on my observations, Lori, Lynn, and Lola seem to be the Loud Sisters that have the most notorious reputations, but Lisa still does seem to have a bit of a bad reputation with some fans too. Some fans do consider Lisa to be a cold-hearted mad scientist. So I think, yes, while both Friend or Foe and the Mad Scientist do share broad stroke similarities, showing that Lisa does care about other people and isn't the cold-hearted mad scientist that she can sometimes come off being. I still think that it is an important reminder here or there to remind us that Lisa does care about people, even if she doesn't always like to show her emotions, particularly because Lisa does have a bit of a notorious reputation with some fans, even if her notorious reputation doesn't seem to be as prevalent as Lori, Lynn, or Lola, at least based off of my observations anyway. And I do think it's also a good thing because I did comment about how I think the first two spotlight appearances for Lisa, Snowboard and Making the Grade, weren't really one of my favorite entries. I do think those segments didn't really do Lisa any favors with some fans and her reputation with some fans. So while Friend or Foe and the Mad Scientist do have some broad stroke similarities, I still think that they are preferable. Now, between the two, do I have a favorite between Friend or Foe and the Mad Scientist? I would say I might favor Friend or Foe a bit more in comparison, but that's not to say anything bad about the Mad Scientist. I guess it's because I found, I guess it's because of how, I guess if I had to pick one, I would say I might like Friend or Foe more, partially because of Darcy's introduction. I think Darcy's a pretty likable character with a lot of potential, so I think that's why I might give the edge a bit more to Friend or Foe. Although the Mad Scientist I still thought was a pretty enjoyable segment for the most part, and Dr. Jelson is another character that's introduced who could have some potential too. I think there's potential for Dr. Jelson and some of those other scientists in future entries, but I guess I think Darcy might have more potential, so that's why I might give the edge more to Friend or Foe compared to the Mad Scientist. Even if I still don't think the Mad Scientist was a bad segment, I just give the edge a little more to Friend or Foe. And I guess another detail worth pointing out was the musical number in this segment. Yes, there was a scene where Lisa performed a song about how she greatly enjoyed the Institute and how she feels the Institute was where she belonged at first. And I guess I bring that up because there actually will be an entry later on in Season 3 that will feature more songs. Or actually, yeah, there's a few more songs in some other entries that I'm thinking of. We did get that earlier in Season 3 with Roadie to Nowhere, and there are going to be some other songs featured in later entries of Season 3, but there's one entry in particular, a full episode, that actually will be mostly a musical episode where they're going to have several songs throughout the course of this full episode I'm thinking of. So that's what it kind of reminded me of. Roadie to Nowhere and this segment kind of feel like they're building up to that musical episode, and we'll cross that bridge when we eventually get to it. Now, otherwise, while I'm on the topic of broad stroke similarities with other entries, that's right. Besides having some broad stroke similarities to Friend or Foe, the Mad Scientist could also be considered a broad stroke similarity. Or yes, one could say that the Mad Scientist has broad stroke similarities. One could say that the Mad Scientist has broad stroke similarities to two other entries, A Tale of Two Tables from Season 1 and Garage Band from Season 2. All of these entries, yes, all of these segments share in common the broad stroke storyline of one of the Loud siblings having a grass is always greener mentality. In the case of A Tale of Two Tables, it was Lincoln with regards to the adult table. For season 2, it was about Lori having her own space and not sharing a room with Lenny and not really seeing much of her siblings, the rest of her siblings. And in this case, the mad scientist, it was about Lisa wanting a quiet location to perform scientific research. Yes, so this isn't the first time that this plot line was done before, but like I mentioned before, my main concern is if it's well executed, not by how many times it's done. And because specific details can make a difference with the execution. Like, Lincoln, Lori, and Lisa may have all experienced this particular plot line about the grass is always greener, but because of the way the characters are, there's different experiences with each character. And in the case of Lisa, we do get to see how Lisa handles this plot line compared to Lori and Lincoln did. And yes, Lisa was able to create a time machine. Yes, Lisa was able to create a time machine in this segment. And this kind of highlights how some fans do acknowledge that Lisa is probably the character that causes the Loud House to step out of the realm of reality from time to time. Yes, most fans would say that the Loud House is mostly grounded in reality. Most of the things that happen in the Loud House are things you could see happening in real life, but there have been some exceptions, and usually those exceptions tend to relate to Lisa in some way, like Trashy, the sentient trash monster from Chores and Peace. Yes, Trashy was created by Lisa, and this is another of Lisa's creations that kind of step out of the realm of reality, at least so far, because as of the recording of this video, time travel hasn't been created yet, although some fans do think that time travel could be possible in the future. Yes, and I know some fan works also have addressed Lisa's time machine. I know some fans figure that, some fan works do try to figure out ways to create conflicts without Lisa's time machine being involved. Or, yes, after this segment was created, some fans had figured, well, maybe they can just have Lisa's time machine solve all their problems for them. But other fans had figured that Lisa probably would want to be very sparing about changing the course of history, and Lisa probably wouldn't want to do that too often. That's usually what I see fan works try to do to justify why Lisa doesn't rely on a time machine to solve all the problems. Not just the problems of future entries, but fan works too. So, yeah, that kind of that was pretty interesting how Lisa creating a time machine had led to some fans trying to address the time machine in some fan works. But otherwise, I would say that's about it for this particular segment. So, like I said, I would consider this to be one of the better Lisa prevalent entries, not just Lisa being the spotlight character, but Lisa also being the viewpoint character. I would consider this to be a better showing for Lisa, since it does show there's more to Lisa, that Lisa does care about others, even if she might sometimes come off as a cold-hearted mad scientist. Yes, even though Lisa might come off as a cold-hearted mad scientist, she actually does care about others, and in this segment's case, she does care about her family deep down, even if she initially acted dismissive about being separated from her family. This segment helps to show us that even though Lisa is a prodigy, she still is a 4-year-old kid who misses her family if she's away from them from too long. And some fans do consider that to be rather heartwarming, that Lisa does care about her family, even if she doesn't always want to admit it. And otherwise, yes, I thought the song was pretty catchy. I didn't expect Lisa to be singing a song, but it was a pretty catchy song, and I do think it helps to build up to that full episode that's going to be essentially a musical episode. And yes, Lisa's time machine is another example of the Loud House stepping out of the realms of reality sometimes, since the Loud House is mostly considered a show that's grounded in reality for the most part, and this segment does show those exceptions to being grounded to reality, and how Lisa is the character that usually is associated with those steps out of the realm of reality from time to time. And otherwise, yeah, I would say that's about it for this segment. So, as of this video, we've now discussed the A segment for episode 61 of The Loud House on this channel. Take care, and until next time,